Mahesh and then Vikash talk about the topics of interest. Networking, I can tell you, probably is the only reason I still continue to run a business. The only skill I ever had, and that's the only reason I've kind of survived. And I can completely relate to what Mahesh was talking about in terms of your primarily the destination is it's your journey. The purpose is primarily for you to figure out what do you want to be doing in life and build your journey in such a way that you have enough learnings and enough opportunities and not worry too much about the destination. And failures is part of everything that we do. We don't always talk about them. We tend to kind of glamorize the successful parts of what we did. But I can assure you, every one of us have our war wounds all over our body if we decide to kind of expose them. So it was great listening to them, and I'm going to spend maybe 15 minutes trying to share my excitement about the brave new world that I see ahead of us, which is primarily about digital technology. And I can tell you, it may seem very obvious to many of you, but the perspectives that I am seeing and the directions in which things are going, it may be not as obvious when you start kind of thinking about this. Right? So I think I'm not going to spend a lot of time looking at. I would encourage you, don't worry too much about the slides. I'm going to talk about it primarily from the perspective of where I'm looking at it. So there are three broad directions in which digital is significantly going to change our lifestyles, and you are the lucky people who are going to really experience this for many years to come. As most of us oldies don't have too many years ahead of us, so but I can tell you, even today, I'm really excited about each of those new things and the tech gadgets that Vaidi was talking about. It's part of how I express my passion in that area. So the three vectors that I'm going to talk about are consumer digital, enterprise digital, and governance digital, right? And each of these are very, very important aspects of how our lives are going to get transformed. Consumer digital is primarily the gadget piece that he was talking about. I'm sure each of you have heard of wearables and how just if you look at even the smartphone piece of what we have, each of us have started carrying these digital devices all the time, all around us. Going back to what Vaidi was saying at the beginning about. Sure, yeah. He has a Galaxy Gear. I have a Fitbit here right on me. But if you go back to just the smartphones, right? As Vaidi was saying at the beginning, in our days we never had any of those, right? In our days we didn't even have a landline phone, so nobody is carrying anything digital on you all the time. But the amazing thing about these smartphones is it's a computer which is so powerful. It's probably more powerful than the supercomputers that we had maybe 25 years back. And it is capable of doing so many different things which enhance your daily life, right? If you think about it, the way you kind of consume content, the way you kind of engage in music, the way you navigate, the way you kind of communicate, everything is right down to just one single device that you're carrying on you. And that is just the beginning, right? The wearable revolution that is in front of us, already some of us are carrying these devices which measure everything we do from an activity level. I can tell you in my life, in 15-minute slices, what I have done for the last 3 years. I have a record of that stored away somewhere, right? And that's simply because I carry a device which records everything I do. How many steps I climbed, how long did I sleep, what is my activity level, all of this. And it's not just a fact, it's the direction in which the world is going, because as the millennials, as the people that you all are, you are born with an affinity to access or using devices to get your things done, right? And it is expected that your ability to understand these devices and relate to them is going to be far superior. And I can tell you, I have a 12-year-old at home. He knows my phone a lot better than I would ever know, right? So all I have to do, I don't look at user manuals and anything. I just call my son and say, how do I do this? And he shows me in a minute, right? And that's simply because that's the way most of you are attuned to how to kind of engage with this technology. There is going to be a significant launch this year. We are probably just a few months away, maybe a month away, which is the Apple iWatch. And Apple iWatch, people are expecting, is going to do to the wearable story what Apple did to the smartphone story. It's not that the smartphones didn't exist before Apple, right? And again, in our days, I can go back and tell you, we had a Nokia communicator, which is like a brick-like computer which you carry on you, and actually it does everything that the Apple iPhone eventually did. Where Apple scored was its designability and the simplicity of its use and how it has kind of gone on to do. And that's going to happen in this aspect as well. And when you come down to things like networking, when you come down to even every aspect of your life, you will need these digital devices, as in they will become an integral part of what you do, right? And once you start measuring, it's amazing the kind of insights you get about your consumer or personal life, which you never were measuring earlier. Like I can tell you, my body can never sleep less than 5 hours and 45 minutes and more than 6 hours and 15 minutes. 95% of the time I only sleep in this range, right? And I have data for the last 3 years to prove that this is exactly what is happening, right? And before this, I just used to think I sleep, right? And maybe I say I sleep 6 hours, 7 hours. I had a vague idea of what I do, right? But today I know exactly what I do, right? And there is a group of people, in fact, they are called the quantified self movement. People who measure everything they do, right? So I have just now bought a device, and hopefully I'll get it later this week, which measures how you breathe. And it can then tell your phone what is the stress level that you're currently in. And immediately it gives you exercises if it feels you're kind of way beyond control to bring you back into limits. Or if it feels you're doing nothing, you're kind of a lazy guy, it may give you some exercise to get your breathing up so that your cardio and other things are happening. So that's the consumer digital. I'm going to then talk about enterprise digital, and this is important because most of you are going to join a company and you're going to start or you're going to start companies, and some of your work would involve engaging with consumers, right? Not customers, but consumers, people like you and me, right? So someone like an Apple has you as the customer and you're also the consumer. And when I talk to, in our business, we deal a lot with data, right? So I run a firm, or I work in a firm now, which is primarily in the data analytics space. And all our customers are large companies all over the world. And when I talk to them, I hear a lot of apprehension about digital, right? And most of them see that as an opportunity, but they also see it as a very disruptive force. Things that used to work earlier no longer work, right? So we talk about, Vikash was just talking about a Citibank branch manager role, very relationship driven, knowing your customer really well, you meet them often enough, understand what their issues are. So very personalized, all of those things. And while he was talking about case where the IT professional could use some algorithm, whatever, look at multiple things and come up with a solution, even though he knows nothing about that particular subject. The reality is somewhere in between, right? The world is now gravitating more and more towards the algorithms role. And so much so, I don't know how many of you saw the press coverage recently about how very acknowledged leaders like Bill Gates or Stephen Hawking or Elon Musk, all these people are saying, guys, watch out, let's not make these robots too smart, right? And they're all saying it's a scary future out there. Don't try these algorithms beyond a certain limit because our own survival is in question. And the first time I read it, I thought, like, hey, surely this is a joke, right? But the more you think about it and the more you research, we are getting to a point where enterprises need to figure out how to use these digital technologies to compete better in the marketplace. And today we have conversations where it's a large, say, tractor manufacturer. I would have never thought their business is anything digital, right? When I come up with a list of companies I need to talk to, I'm looking at all the consumer-focused companies and saying, okay, they would be interested in digital because people like you, every morning when you wake up, you're either doing your WhatsApp or you're going on your Facebook and you barely watch television unless it's content that you can't get in any of these kind of channels. And if these companies don't know how to make that shift, they are going to survive. So that story at least resonates with me. But what really caught us off guard is someone like, say, a Caterpillar says, you know what, my product is 75% electronic. You take a tractor, it actually has 14 onboard computers, at least in the US, and probably it has 5 in India. And the moment they turn on the ignition, I can tell you everything that's happening to that vehicle, right? I can remotely connect into the tractor, pull data out, and I can tell you, is it today plowing a field which is this level of resistance? Is it taking too many turns? Is it what kind of load is it pulling, and how many hours does it work? How many starts and stops? Every possible data is available in that computer, and it's all digital. All they have to do is connect into the product and pull it out. And what they are now saying is, why am I making a product once, designing it once, and then shipping it to these people, and then forget about them completely? Why not I look at my product as, I've given you a solution, now you tell me how you're using it, and then I watch 100 people how they use that product and say 70 of them seems to use this particular feature a lot. Okay, I'm going to make sure that feature is much better done. And I find 10 other people don't use any of these other features. I'm going to drop those features so that it becomes simpler and simpler. So that 2 years out, I actually have a product which is field tested, where I know people actually how exactly they use the product, and I have a much better probability of meeting my market needs, right? And that's the way companies have started thinking, and this is a very traditional manufacturing type company. The reason I'm saying all this is, as you start your careers and as you start working, digital as a technology is going to be really important. It doesn't matter whether you're doing civil engineering or mechanical engineering. So don't assume digital is only for computer science and electronics. Digital is going to be fundamental to everything we do, whatever be the subject. Even a doctor, a medicine professional, medical professional, anyone in this subject needs to understand how digital technology works, right? And companies are completely relearning. And this is all out there in the internet. If some of you go and research what the CEO of Procter and Gamble, which is considered the largest marketer in the world, is talking about, he's saying, I need to reinvent my workforce. I need to find people who understand digital as a medium and probably let go of 10% of my company, which cannot be retrained into this new world. And so there is exciting new things that is ahead of us, which is going to completely disrupt the way businesses and consumers engage with digital. Finally, I'm going to spend another minute or so on the governments. So it's not just the business world which is so excited about digital, or as common people. Governments are waking up to this whole idea, and they're saying, hey, if I want to make big impact, I want to do it at scale, I want to impact millions of people so that I can get this change done, I need a platform. I need something which allows me to press one button and it reaches hundreds of thousands of people, right? And they're all discovering digital is a platform which can allow this. The reason you would find, even when the governments change, they want to focus on Aadhaar as a vehicle, or the unique identity for each citizen of this country as a vehicle, is because we never had a way to even find out who these people are. Yes, it has its limitations in terms of potential fraud and all that, but the majority of the cases, we all have very good data that the government now has access to, and they can actually ensure the benefits, the subsidies, the ways in which they want to get the poorest of the poor benefited. They can actually target them much more reliably now that they have Aadhaar. Or you take things like bank accounts. There's a reason why the current Prime Minister is at least trying to get enough people into the banking system. You have a way to directly reach, and banking is actually a very solid digital platform. If you think about it, money as a physical term is only what you and I carry in our purse. In reality, a lot of the money is electronic. It's a concept, right? It's just a book entry in one computer system which says, okay, you own this much, he owns this much, right? And so that digital platform allows governments to actually make all of this impact done. The electronic voting machines, the EVMs that we have, that's digital too, right? Where you're going to make a particular choice and that gets recorded and it gets counted. So I think India is in a very, very lucky place with so many of you young people graduating every year, and you forming a big proportion of our population. And we have this unique opportunity to change the way we govern and to change the way we make social impact using digital technology.